Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're looking at horizontal and vertical integration, which are two terms referring to an organization's strategic approach when expanding externally, so through the acquisition of or a merger with another company. Now, to understand horizontal and vertical integration, you must first begin by understanding what a supply chain is. So a supply chain is simply the high-level chain of activities that must take place to create a product or service. So let's take a look at an example of a simple supply chain by imagining you own a business selling paper diaries that you sell direct to consumers via your website. Your supply chain might look something like this. So first, one company will create the raw material, so the paper for your diaries. Next, using that paper, a second company will manufacture your diaries and send them to you. And finally, you'll sell your diaries direct to consumers from your website. So these three businesses, each doing something unique, constitute a very basic supply chain. So now that you understand the basics of supply chains, you're in a position to understand both horizontal and vertical integration. As you can see here, when you integrate vertically, you buy or merge with a company in your existing supply chain. Conversely, when you integrate horizontally, you acquire a business at the same stage of the supply chain, but in a different supply chain to your own. Now, thinking back to our diary example, a horizontal integration you could make would be to acquire another diary seller just like your business. In contrast, a vertical integration might be to acquire your diary manufacturer. A company is vertically integrated when it owns more than one level of its supply chain. Now, there are in fact two types of vertical integration, forward and backward. Forward integration occurs when you acquire a company higher up your supply chain, and backward integration or backward vertical integration occurs when you acquire a company lower down your supply chain. So why would you choose to perform either a horizontal or vertical integration? Well, that will become clear shortly when we look at some real examples of each type of integration. But for now, let's recap the different types of integration. Now, one thing to note here is that there's a special case we haven't yet covered, that of a conglomerate. And this happens when there's no apparent connection between your company and the company you are purchasing. A conglomerate is simply a collection of businesses grouped together under one umbrella company. Another thing to note is that sometimes an organization will vertically integrate in both directions, forward and backward, and this is often referred to as blended vertical integration. So let's take a look at an example of horizontal integration. In this case, we'll look at Volkswagen's acquisition of Skoda. So as you can see in this diagram, Volkswagen here and Skoda over here both have their own supply chains, but they exist at the same level, and so they're able to horizontally integrate. Now, there are many reasons why Volkswagen bought Skoda, including access to new markets in Eastern Europe, the ability to sell to a new customer segment looking for low-cost yet well-made cars, and cost savings where equivalent-sized Volkswagen and Skoda models eventually share the same underlying chassis despite looking like entirely different cars. So essentially, the chassis only needs to be developed once and can be used across both brands. So let's take a quick look at an example of vertical integration, and we're going to look at luxury fashion brand Louis Vuitton. So Louis Vuitton is a luxury leather goods manufacturer, and a critical vertical integration that it has made is that its products are only available for sale through its own retail stores. You cannot buy Louis Vuitton products anywhere else. So why have they set themselves up in this way? Why can't you simply go and buy one of their bags from Amazon? Well, there's many reasons for this, including selling only through its stores boosts the exclusivity of its products and allows them to charge premium prices. It also allows the brand to provide a luxury shopping experience to its customers, which again helps it to charge premium prices. And finally, vertical integration provides a considerable barrier to entry against competitors. So if a new entrant wants to enter the market and compete directly with Louis Vuitton, having to set up its own stores is a huge and costly barrier to entry. Of course, that company could just sell via Amazon, but that doesn't give it the same cachet and therefore doesn't allow it to sell its products at a similar price to Louis Vuitton. So let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of both horizontal and vertical integration, but we'll start with horizontal integration. So in terms of advantages, it can lower your operating costs by reducing the duplication of resources and increasing economies of scale. It can increase your differentiation by allowing you to offer more combinations of products. It enables you to sell to new market segments while maintaining known and understood business models. Your increased size can give you greater bargaining power with your suppliers. In terms of disadvantages, well, all mergers and acquisitions carry risks, and your union or joining together may not work out as you hoped. Secondly, becoming too large may result in antitrust issues. And finally, implementing a horizontal integration strategy isn't easy, and it will take time to realize any benefits. So looking at vertical integration advantages and disadvantages. First, in terms of advantages, then you can increase margins and economies of scale by eliminating intermediaries and consolidating staff. It allows you more control over the quality of your product and the quality of your customer experience, which, as we've seen with Louis Vuitton, is very important for luxury brands. It allows you to differentiate from your competitors. So, for example, Apple stores position Apple products in a different way to Microsoft products because they don't have an associated store. Next, acquiring suppliers allows you to protect any proprietary processes you use at that level in your supply chain. And finally, it increases barriers to entry for new entrants wishing to compete directly with you. In terms of disadvantages, then it can be expensive to purchase more of your existing supply chain. It can also increase your ongoing costs. So, for example, purchasing your manufacturer and having them focus on producing just for you rather than for many customers can lead to higher costs. And finally, again, success isn't guaranteed. As with all mergers and acquisitions, many things can go wrong. So in summary, business owners are always looking for ways to grow their companies, and horizontal and vertical integration provide two approaches to do this through mergers and acquisitions. Horizontal integration occurs when you acquire another company in the same line of business, whereas vertical integration occurs when you acquire another company in your supply chain. Which approach is right for you will depend on your business's unique circumstances and future goals and ambitions. So that's it for this lesson. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.